I could have entitled this, Why Using AI for Sumerian Content is a Bad Idea, except I don't actually believe that. AI has great potential when used for what it's good at. If you don't know what the tool is or what the limitations are, then you shouldn't use it. This video will concentrate mostly on ChatGPT, but that isn't the only large language model, or LLM, it's just the most commonly used. ChatGPT doesn't have access to the great majority of research papers and books that I really need in order to make these videos. Ironically, most of those papers are free or easily accessed in online sources or texts. So that means that I have more access to the targeted information than one of the top AI tools does. I also have access to experts that I can ask questions of, which the AI doesn't. Another problem with ChatGPT is that it isn't discerning. It has a tendency to listen to the loudest voice more than the more accurate voice. Let me give you an example. Recently, I read a paper suggesting that Mesopotamia has been settled by people from India. The paper was hosted on a university website, which generally gives it a degree of respectability. But it was filled with so many basic mistakes and well known bias from nationalist sources in India that I knew it was garbage. I still read the whole thing for train wreck value, but it was garbage. There was no indication that it was ever peer reviewed or that it was even fully spell checked, but it did have a list of sources at the end, so at least that's something. As an aside, the ancient Sumerians were not a mono-ethnic society because pretty much nobody is. They came mostly from the indigenous people of the area, but intermarried with everyone. So they are an amalgam group. There is some indication that they were a bit culturally xenophobic, but they weren't what you might consider racial purists. The idea that the Sumerian people just popped out of nowhere is not backed up by the evidence whatsoever. They didn't come whole cloth from any one single place. Anyway, back to the subject. Commonly held mistakes are perfectly reasonable in the eye of the AI, pun intended. I know because I have gotten more than a few questions about this or that thing generated by an AI as a response. As with humans, an AI can come to bad conclusions based on bad information. When either makes a mistake, it is often because the general level of understanding that they have on the subject. This level of understanding is a lot easier to judge in a human than it is in a machine because you don't hear the hints of confusion in the voice or see the hesitation in the expression. I work on computers and art and AI regularly when I am not making these videos. I understand the principles better than most. So believe me when I say it's a great tool if you know what you're doing. AI is a great tool for pop culture in particular because it has access to a lot of good information. If you want to analyze the relative military strength between the Federation and the Galactic Empire, you can do that. Take a guess how I know that. Unfortunately, good information about Mesopotamian history, society, and artifacts, and religion are not in popular culture. Bad information, like ancient aliens, for example, is available in popular culture. Because of the bot friendly nature of YouTube, you will often see creators auto generate videos using AI tools that use bad information. A text to voice system can then be used to read the content, and a stock set of images can be played that is likely to attract attention, or just randomly generated by the proper AI prompts. It takes a bit of setup, but it is an easy revenue particularly for people living in countries where a few US dollars go a very long way. This brings us to other AI tools. And who could forget AI art programs? You know, the ones that make the misshapen faces and the three-fingered mangled hands. AI has problems drawing things that it isn't asked to draw too often. It makes sense that the tools can't draw Lamassu, Scorpion Men, or Apkallu because these are chimeric in form and the art is programmed to resist that sort of thing. So why do they have problems drawing ziggurats or seal impressions? They can't have been programmed to resist those things. Well, the same reason ChatGPT has problems with questions about Mesopotamia. It doesn't get asked to draw those too often, so it doesn't handle them well. This can be understood if you understand what an AI actually is. It's not intelligent. It's not alive. It's the evolution of predictive text on your phone combined with a PID tuning loop. It learns, but in the same way that a shoe learns to conform to your foot. Let's end things on a high note, though. We are not a monetized channel. We value good information over junk. So, for the time being, there is little that AI can do to aid me in my work. There are, however, legitimate uses for AI in Assyriology. At present, about 1% of Sumerian texts have been translated. Most of what have not been translated are receipts, accounting documents, and fragmentary texts. But there is a lot that has not been touched. In that, you will find a lot of gems if it can be translated. And AI is currently being used to learn the signs and read them. Once it can read them, it can translate them. The more text that it is given, the better it will get at translating. And there is a link in the description for such a process. I will give a little bit more information on that in another video. I hope you found this informative and thought-provoking. If you liked this video, you should check out this one on how Easter and Istar are not connected, or this one on possible identification of the figure on the Burney relief. Hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.